Once upon a time, in a small village nestled at the edge of the great forest, there lived a young boy named Kwesi. He was full of energy, always running around the village, playing with his friends, and causing a bit of troubles wherever he went. His mother often warned him, "Kwesi, don't go too far into the forest, for it is said that strange things happen to those who go too deep." But Kwesi, being young and full of curiosity, never paid much attention to the warnings. One fateful day, while chasing a colorful bird that caught his eye, Kwesi found himself deep within the forest. The trees towered over him like silent giants, and the sunlight barely pierced through the dense canopy above. At first, Kwesi was unbothered. He believed he knew his way back, and the thrill of exploring the unknown pushed him forward. But as he went deeper and deeper, he began to realize something troubling. He was lost. Panic set in as the unfamiliar surroundings began to close in on him. Every tree looked the same, every path seemed to look back on itself, and there were no familiar sounds of the village, no laughter, no animals, only a creepy silence. Kwesi called out, "Mama! Papa!" But his voice was swallowed by the forest, and no one answered. As night began to fall, Kwesi sat beneath a large baobab tree, tears rolling down his cheeks. He was afraid. The stories of spirits and creatures that his mother had told him suddenly felt all too real. Just as he was about to lose hope, a soft voice broke the silence. "Why are you crying, child?" the voice asked. Startled, Kwesi looked around, but there was no one in sight. He wiped his tears and stood up, his eyes scanning the forest. "Who's there?" he asked, his voice trembling. "I am here," the voice said again, and to Kwesi's astonishment, the large baobab tree he had been sitting under began to move slightly, its branches rustling as if they were alive. You can talk," Kwesi stammered, stepping back in fear. The tree chuckled, its voice deep and soothing. "Of course I can talk. All the trees in this forest can. But only those who are truly lost can hear us." Kwesi's eyes widened in disbelief. He had heard legends of talking trees, but he had never thought they were true. "Can you help me find my way back home?" he asked hopefully. The baobab tree swayed its branches thoughtfully. "We can help you, but first, you must listen carefully. This forest is old, and it has many secrets. You will need the wisdom of more than one tree to find your way home." Just then, a nearby mango tree began to speak. "The forest is not just a place of wood and leaves, young one. It is alive, and it watches over those who enter it. But it can also trick those who do not respect it." Kwesi nodded, eager to learn whatever he needed to escape the forest. The mango tree continued, "The first thing you must do is trust in the forest. It will guide you if you show respect. But beware, do not be fooled by illusions." With that, the trees began to whisper to each other, their leaves rustling as if in conversation. Kwesi stood quietly, listening to their voices. He realized that the trees were offering him advice, each one sharing its own piece of wisdom. The palm tree spoke next. "Follow the sound of the wind. The wind knows the way, and it will lead you to safety. But you must be careful not to stray from its path, no matter how tempting other directions may seem." A tall, ancient Iroko tree added, "And remember, child, the forest is not just a place of danger, it is also a place of great beauty. If you are kind to it, it will be kind to you. Do not take more than you need, and always give thanks." Kwesi listened intently, absorbing the words of the trees. He thanked them for their guidance and promised to respect the forest and its creatures. With the trees' voices echoing in his mind, he set off in search of the wind, listening carefully for its sound. It wasn't long before he heard a soft breeze whistling through the trees. He followed it, resisting the urge to explore side paths that seemed to beckon him. He remembered the mango trees warning about illusions, and he kept his focus on the wind's voice. As he walked, the forest began to feel less threatening. The towering trees no longer seemed menacing, instead, they felt like old friends watching over him. The moonlight filtered through the leaves, casting a soft glow on the forest floor, and the once eerie silence was now filled with the gentle hum of nature. After what felt like hours, Kwesi reached a clearing. There, at the edge of the forest, he saw the lights of his village in the distance. Relief washed over him, and he ran toward the village, his heart light with joy. Before he left the forest, he turned back to the trees and whispered, "Thank you." The trees rustled in response, their leaves shimmering in the moonlight as if acknowledging his gratitude. When Kwesi returned home, his parents were overjoyed and relieved. They asked him where he had been, and though they didn't believe him when he spoke of the talking trees, Kwesi knew the truth. He had learned that the forest was alive, and that it protected those who respected it. From that day forward, Kwesi never wandered into the forest without first asking permission from the trees. He grew up to be a wise and respectful man, always mindful of nature's wonders and its mysteries. And though many in the village dismissed his story as a childhood fantasy, Kwesi knew that deep in the heart of the forest, the trees were always watching, waiting to help those who were truly lost.